Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Okay, Nick Collier here, and we've got our shaft all set and ready to go. We did just a little bit more filing right here on this one little spot right there, and slid right in there, so no problem. There might have been a little burr there or something like that. I don't know. So now what we have to do is come in and put a keyway all the way down that shaft. And since I'm all set up with the rotary table on another project that I took off in order to do this, I'm going to just come in on top of the rotary table and lock down a vise, and then go ahead and square up my vise and get everything all squared up, and then just run it with that. So that said, we will do that. Okay, we're all set up and ready to go. We're going to take our mill bit and run it across here until we come up with an exact square, and then we'll know we're centered. And that's how we'll find center. Okay, so we want this keyway to be a slip keyway. So I'm going to do a 1/2 thousandths on each side of the face there. So we are at 0. We're going to do a 1/2. Yeah. So we got a reasonably good slip fit in there, and yet it's still good and tight. All right, so pick this up. One more check. Yeah. And the more I rub it, the more it seems to loosen up. So probably just the burrs up on top are getting in the way a little bit. Okay, so that's it for this part. Let's take that out. And we've got ourselves a keyway. Now we got to come in with a file and just get that burr before we can put it inside of the bearing shaft. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so just bring the file in at just a slight 45 or so. That looks good. Do the other side. Nice. All right, let's take it over and give it a try. Okay, slide this baby in. See how she's gonna fit. Nice snug fit right up to there because I didn't get the burr right there at the very end. So we need to come back and get that, and this thing's gonna go in and out without a problem. Okay, so we'll get that burr, and then we're gonna cut the this plug off the end here. Okay, so since there's no way to really grab this thing and hold it steady, we're just going to have to hold on to it by hand and burn through this thing. That won't be too bad. All right, now we take it to the lathe and clean up that back edge or that back surface, and then taper it just a little bit, and then we press it. Let's cut. Well, we're sitting too high for sure. Maybe we can bring it down just here. Yeah, that did it. Okay, and when we pressed it last time, and you know, maybe I'll bring you in close here because this is kind of interesting what happened here. Let's see if we can figure out a way to get it to sit and get some light on it. Yeah, there we go. So when we pressed it last time, you can see the ridge, and I'll need a pointer here. Let's point this out. Right in there. It's real smooth where it pressed. It was a tight press. I don't know, I screwed up somewhere. And then once it got to there, it bound up so badly that that's where it started bending it. And then from there on out was fresh material. But look how it, and that light seems a little bit bright. Look how it smoothed the surface. So I think what I want to do is I want to come in back in here and just relieve that so that I don't have a real tight press there, and we'll go to this size here and we'll be set. Okay, let's go in and just take, oh, I don't know, a couple of thousandths. There's one, there's two. I think that gave us the relief we want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is press this on and then come in afterwards and throw a bead right into the center of that. So we need to heat this up and cool the shaft off. So we're going to come back after a while and do the next step. Okay, so we've got our piece. We have our measurements. We're going to crank up some heat here. Come on. And we're going to run this thing until it's big enough that our shaft can just slide in there. Okay, there it goes. Now we put a little notch right in here so that we can tell how deep we are. Uh-oh, it grabbed. All right, well, I'm not going to bend this one, so I'm just going to let it roll right there. It's got plenty of material holding it. We're over halfway in there. And now while it's hot, I think what I want to do is just go ahead and weld this thing, throw a bead in there just to make sure that we've got a good grip going. Whoop, those are hot. Still with me? Yeah, what the hell? Let's see what we can do. All right, we got a good bite there. It's not the best looking weld, but I was welding blind there. And, you know, you can't really see, so you do what you can. Let's see if we can see it. Let me get a flashlight. There we go. You know, it's all that's necessary. All right, we're going to let this cool, and we'll come back to it later, and we'll be ready to go to the next step. Okay, let's give this a try and see how it goes. It's cooled off. Slide that baby in, nice and snug. Give us a good spin. And bring this on over, put that in place. And we are pretty well set to go. Well, no, we're not even close to well set to go, but we're a little further along. I kind of wanted it at about that angle. So I think what I want to do next is build this pin so this thing sits nice and smoothly. And the way to do that is, we'll be right back. And I think what I want to do is I want to weld this thing in. That's going to be the easiest approach. So we're just going to build a kind of a pretty good size support here for the bolt to go through. And I'm looking at, let's look at a 4-inch piece of steel. And by what's that going to do? 2.5 inches, well, 2 1/4 inches out. 4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. We're going to go find a piece and see what we can do. Okay, we found an old piece of rusty stock here. It's a little bit big, but all we need to do is trim it down. So we'll take 4 and 2 1/4. Well, it's such a small piece of steel, I'm forced to cut the damn thing by hand because it won't fit in any chucks or any vices. So it's not too bad, though. I've been at this for, I don't know, 5 or 8 minutes. All right, just a simple little bit of power cutting. We're there. Well, I don't think you can see a thing, can you? Let's drop you down. There we go. All right, well, first thing out, that was such a bad cut right there because it was by hand that I want to surface that. And let's just take an end mill and just run it over the top of that a couple of times and come up with something that's going to work. Okay, that put a bunch of smoke in the air. Let me turn the fan on. All right. Ooh, it's hot. Okay, what we want to do now is we're going to drill a hole right through the center of this, not all the way down, but just enough, and tap it and put a probably a hardened 8 bolt in here that'll reach out through the motor itself. And since we don't really care, I mean, it's not critical that this is total dead center, we're just going to eyeball this, bring it over, come down a little further, let me get some glasses if I'm going to eyeball something. Alright, take it in until we find the edge. That looks pretty good. Excuse me. Find 0. And I believe this is 1 inch. Let's check it and make sure. One inch. We'll go in a half. For 60, 70, 80, 95. And then we'll just kind of generally look for center there. That looks pretty good. Bring it up. I think we're going to have to go down a little further here. I guess you can't see anything, can you? There we go. Run a center drill down. and answer the phone.
We'll be back.
All right, we got our hole started. And I want to go down a long ways because I want that tap to run all the way down. Well, not all the way down, but I want it to run down far enough that I can get a bolt in there and get it in there good and solid. Okay, let's take a break from that. And hey, let's go over to my bolt drawer. I'll show it to you. Okay, so you know, I live about 6 miles out of town, and when I need a bolt, I don't want to have to drive all the way into town, buy one damn bolt, and come back. So I decided a long time ago that it was good to have a bolt and nut drawer. And I scored this at a garage sale someplace. We have one stout set of drawers. They're deep. They've got some, you know, I've got bolts and nuts separated. You know, I'm not organized by any means, but at least they're separated enough that I can see what I'm doing. And it goes bolts, nuts, and some electrical stuff, and pulleys and odds and ends. And then over on this side, some small bolts, medium bolts. And this is where we're going to probably work from. Well, maybe not. Honking bolts. Something like this, maybe even bigger. If we have anything. Here's a grade 8. That might just be a good size. It's a fine thread. And it's got a nut on it. That's not too bad. This is not bad either. Not great. Of course, that's the downside. You got to dig through a bunch of bolts and nuts. Of course, you know, when you go to the hardware store, you got to dig through those too. All right. Well, this might work. Let me go over to the machine itself. It actually could be a lot bigger. I mean a lot bigger. And not even think about it. Something like this, maybe. Hang on. Yeah, this. So we'll have to trim it back. I mean, I'm sure it's not a Schedule 8, or I mean a grade 8 bolt, but it's heavy enough that it's not going to be a problem. All right, so let's close this back up. Oh yeah, screws, odds and ends. All right, one more thing. I went to a garage sale, some years back, and this was sitting on the wall. It was an estate sale, and the guy had been so organized, and I guess he died or something like that because they were selling off everything. And it was a Sunday afternoon. You know how Sunday afternoons are. There's not a whole lot left, but nobody had touched this. And each one of those jars was full of bolts and nuts, little small ones. And I said, well, how much you want for it? And the guy says, how about $1? And I went, yes. So I drug it home. I've been using bolts and nuts out of this thing for, 4 or 5 years now. And it just keeps going. Whoa, way up there. Okay, we cut our bolt down on both sides. Let's turn some lights on. We cut our bolt down on both sides. Now I just want to kind of come in and clean it up and make it look pretty. I mean, why not? All right, 21, 30 seconds and we're off and running. little cutting oil. That didn't last. All right, well, we got a start. And a good one. Okay, so we've got our hole cut in our piece. We put our pin in. We just put it in temporarily because we've got to take it back out once we do a little bit more machine work. We need to, yeah, let's put it in this way. We put it in. There we go. And then I want to bring this up to about there so it's comfortable. So how is this going to sit? It looks like it's going to sit right on top of that the rib right there, which is not a bad thing. I think that'll be okay because I can get a pretty good weld in behind that without too much trouble. So I think we're just going to leave it just like it is. Let's mark it because we're going to have to come back and grind this, and this goes all the way to the end. All right, take that back off. We're all set to go here. We just need to grind that little part right there, and then take this over and weld it to this to our body, and I think we're pretty well set to go. Let's see how close it is there. That's pretty close. So maybe we just bring it out just a little bit.